Welcome to A to Z, how to be successful at Mechanical Turk, new for 2020. This is episode 2, all about your Mechanical Turk dashboard. Uh, what you're seeing here in front of you is what my dashboard looks like. It's a little bit different maybe than yours. Uh, Mine is made dark. I'll show you how to do that if you're interested in doing that in a later episode. But this is basically what your Mechanical Turk dashboard looks like. Now I have cropped off the very top portion because that contains my user ID that you don't need to have. But that would be up in this corner just above the Amazon Turk logo right here. This is the overview page, and this is basically where you will get most of your information about what you've been doing on MTurk. Over here, these are your projected earnings. That is what you have earned so far on the current day. And of course, this will be any bonuses you have after that. Down here under earnings, now this is with the new payment system, of course, that we're all having to use now. We no longer manually transfer over our funds, where they're done that way automatically for us. So I have mine set to transfer once every 3 days, and this amount right here will gradually increase as you earn more money until the 3rd day, in my case, in which it'll drop to 0, and that'll mean that it's already in the transfer process. If I want to see past transfers or verify that this transfer has indeed moved on after it has, I'd go and click a link here under View Transfer History. And down in my hits overview panel, this will give you a good idea of where you stand on Mechanical Turk. This is how many hits you've done that have been approved, your approval rate. You need to keep this rate as high as you can. Mostly anything above 99% is really good. If you can keep it above 95%, you'll still be able to access most hits. But that's something you need to keep an eye on. The way that that goes down is by having rejections. This is number under pending. That's how many hits that are currently pending. That hits start out after you do them as being pending. That means that the requester hasn't decided that it's been approved yet. And then it goes to be approved, and approved means it's approved by the requester already, but it hasn't been paid for. And then finally the last status is paid, and that would be complete. Down here you can see over the entire time that I've been working on Mechanical Turk, I've had 119 rejections. This is your overall rejection rate. This number here under rejections, less than or equal to 99%, this number right here means I could potentially withstand at this point 114 more rejections before my approval rate would dip below 99%. This is the same thing for 95%. I could withstand 1,097 rejections before it would drop below 95% right here. So you want to get yourself a little padding. My padding is not as good as a lot of others because I don't do a lot of filler hits. But when you first get started on Mechanical Turk, because your number of approved hits is very low, every rejection that you might get at that point has a greater effect upon your approval rate. So that's why it's important for you when you first start out on Mechanical Turk to find some hits that are very easy to do, like 1 cent to 5 cent hits, something like that, that you can repeatedly do, and the hit itself has a good reputation for not being by a requester that gives a lot of rejections. When you want to get this number here, your approved hits number, up above 1,000 as quickly as you can, because a lot of hits have the qualification on them that they're looking for workers that have an excess of 1,000 hits completed. That just shows that you're not brand new and that you know a little bit about what you're doing. Down here under earnings to date, your approved hits, this is the amount of money that you have earned since you started working on Mechanical Turk through the hits themselves. The bonuses is, of course, what you've earned from bonuses during that time, and total earnings is your overall amount. Over here under the hit status area, you see it is separated by week. You can click on one of these little plus arrows here, like the first one here is, and it will open up the rest of the week and show you how many hits you've submitted, how many have been approved on that day, or how many have been rejected, how many are still pending, and basically your earnings throughout that day, throughout that week in this case. Down below here, you can change this lower part by sort it by year, quarter, and month. I keep mine on year. I think that's by default. It sets itself to year. When you eventually get ready to start filing some taxes and things like that, you would go, right now, if I was to file taxes right now today, I would go down and see, last year, which is the tax year I'd be filing for, this is how much I'd enter as my income right here. Now, from here, there are several other tabs on your dashboard. You can go to your earnings, which would be right here, and that basically will give you a breakdown of your earnings. Under the hits tab, it will show you all of the hits that are currently up under how your filters, how you're filtering what it's looking for. And the filters, you can of course change that to require master certification. I usually keep mine clicked on what I'm qualified to work on, and they're set right now to only search for hits that pay at least $1 and to sort them by their age, newest to oldest. In here you'll see the requesters information. Amazon's just recently started putting out this information. This little pop-up window gives us a little information about each requester, lets you know basically do they put up a lot of hits. Their hit approval rate, you need to keep an eye on that. If you look and you see a low hit approval rate, now this one right here is very high, and that's good. If you see a low approval rate, that means that requester is likely to give out rejections more so than you would probably want them to. So you might want to steer away from that. Average payment review time is, like it says, a basic guideline of from their history. How frequently does that requester review submissions and pay on them? Now, as a rule, by default, requesters are required to pay out within 30 days. There are some of them that will just let it time all the way out to 30 days where it pays automatically, but that's not very many of them. Most of them will pay within 2 to 3 days. Some of them pay instantly. So you might want to keep an eye on that if you're in a hurry for your money. Over here, in these little graphic bars here, is where it would interface with Turkerview. We'll talk about Turkerview a little bit more in another episode. Basically, Turkerview is a way for you to receive information about requesters and about their hits based on how they've worked out for other workers like yourself. Let's see, these little colored icons will give you a basic idea from Turk Opticon. Is that a requester that is troublesome? This would be one that had a little bit of a problem, perhaps because it's red. The yellow, not so much. And the gray usually means there's not enough information on that requester yet to make a determination. If you wanted to, you could accept a hit directly from this page. These that are on my screen in white are those that I'm either have done already or I'm not qualified to do for some reason, or I have them blocked. The blue I could accept. Okay, then you can go to your hits queue. You'll go to this page quite a bit. Now I don't have any hits in my queue right now, but if I did, they would show up in a listing right here, and you would be able to click to work on them. This is good for watching to make sure that you are doing all the hits that you've caught. It's probably not the best way to do it. The best way to do that is with something called Q Watch, which is a part of a script called JR Panda Crazy, which we'll talk about that in another episode too. But you can view all of your hits that are in your queue right from this page, and it will update itself. All right, let's see. From here, we could go to quality qualifications page. Now, qualifications are just what they're called. They're what you are qualified to do based on what requesters have asked you to do, perhaps in a qualification test, or some of your demographic information. They may be looking for all men to serve to do a particular hit, or all women, or people over a certain age or under a certain age, or it may be by your location, uh, or by your hit approval rate. There are many. You'll see here, this shows 1, 2. You would think that that means that I have 2 pages of qualifications, but that's not the case. Once you go on, this will go on out into 3, 4, and I probably have 300 pages worth of qualifications, and you will too after you've been on Mechanical Turk for very long. If this video has been of help to you, please be sure to click subscribe and to check out our other videos on YouTube. If you'd like to increase the amount of income you're making on Mechanical Turk, one of the best ways is to become a member of an online worker group. There are several of these groups on the internet, but of course I recommend ours at ourhitstop.com. We aren't called the friendliest MTurk worker board on the web for nothing. Membership is free, so stop by and learn from hundreds of experienced Turkers. I can't guarantee how much, but I can guarantee that you'll learn how to make more money by being a part of our group. We also have some exclusive tools that you won't find anywhere else that can dramatically increase your earnings now.